LeBron James didn't panic. He didn't overreact. But the moment Luka Doncic went down, he understood something immediately. The Lakers didn't just lose a player. They lost control of their identity. Because this version of the Lakers, this 16-3 surge, this offensive explosion was built on one foundation: Luka running everything. And now that foundation is unstable at the worst possible time. Context. Coming off a dominant stretch, the Lakers entered Oklahoma City with momentum and clarity. Luka Doncic was leading the league in scoring, the offense was flowing, roles made sense, then everything flipped. A 139-96 blowout loss. Luka exits with a left hamstring injury, MRI pending, 2 weeks before the playoffs. And LeBron's response was simple, direct, and telling. This is the last thing you want to see. No spin, no deflection. Because he knows exactly what this changes. Core breakdown. The immediate narrative. The obvious takeaway is straightforward. If Luka misses time, LeBron has to do more. More scoring, more playmaking, more control. We've seen that version before. For nearly 2 decades, that was the version. So the instinct is to believe the Lakers can just revert. Put the ball back in LeBron's hands. Let him orchestrate. Let Reeves support. Survive until Luka returns. But that assumption ignores how this team was actually functioning. Deeper analysis. Why this isn't a simple shift. This Lakers team wasn't just Luka-centric. It was Luka-dependent in structure. He didn't just lead in points and assists. He dictated tempo, spacing, and decision timing on nearly every possession. That allowed LeBron to evolve, to become more selective, more efficient, less burdened, and most importantly, more dangerous in smaller windows. Now that equation flips. Without Luka, LeBron doesn't just increase usage. He has to rebuild the system in real time. And at 41, that's not just a physical ask, it's a structural one, because this is your first key insight. LeBron can still control games, but this team was built so he wouldn't have to. Hidden factor. The cost of reversing roles. Here's what most people overlook. Role changes aren't neutral. They come with trade-offs. When LeBron shifts back into primary control, 3 things happen immediately. First, the offense slows down. Not necessarily worse, but different. More deliberate, more read-heavy, less dynamic in early actions. Second, Austin Reeves' role changes. He goes from secondary attacker to co-creator under pressure. That's a higher burden against playoff defenses. Third, and most important, LeBron's off-ball value disappears. The cuts, the mismatches, the late rotations he was exploiting as a third option, those advantages shrink when he's initiating every set. So you're not just adding LeBron's workload, you're removing what made him uniquely efficient in this system. This is the realization moment. Replacing Luka doesn't just mean adding LeBron. It means losing the version of LeBron that made this team work. Turning point. The injury isn't the moment, the timing is. Injuries happen. That's part of the league, but timing defines impact. And this couldn't come at a worse moment. 2 weeks before the playoffs, the Lakers were building something specific: defined roles, offensive rhythm, trust in late-game execution. Now, all of that is disrupted. Even if Luka returns quickly, the continuity is broken. And if he doesn't, the Lakers aren't just adjusting. They're reverting back to a system they've already moved away from. Clipping moment number 1. The Lakers didn't just lose Luka. They lost the version of LeBron that made them dangerous. Big picture. What this means for the Lakers. This situation forces a fundamental question. What is the Lakers' true identity? Are they Luka's team, with LeBron as the ultimate enhancer? Or are they still LeBron's team, capable of reshaping itself around him at any moment? The answer determines everything. If Luka returns at full strength, the Lakers can stabilize. Their system still works. Their ceiling remains intact. But if he's limited, or worse, unavailable, this becomes something else entirely. LeBron has to scale up. Reeves has to stretch beyond his optimal role. The margin for error disappears, and against elite teams like Oklahoma City, that margin was already thin. Clipping moment number 2. LeBron can take over games, but he can't recreate Luka's gravity over a 7-game series. There's also the long-term layer. LeBron is in the final stage of his career. This third option evolution wasn't just strategic, it was sustainable. Now sustainability is gone. He can still rise to the moment, but asking him to carry the system again isn't a long-term solution. It's a short-term necessity. Clipping moment number 3. At this stage, LeBron isn't built to carry the system. He's built to perfect it. Conclusion: LeBron's reaction said everything because it didn't need to say much. He knows what Luka means to this team, not just statistically, structurally. The Lakers didn't just lose a superstar. They lost the player who allowed everything else to make sense. And now with the playoffs approaching, they're facing the hardest challenge in basketball, not replacing talent, but replacing control. LeBron didn't look shocked. He looked concerned. And that's how you knew this was serious, because after a 43-point blowout, after getting run off the floor by Oklahoma City, the only thing anyone wanted to hear about was Luka Doncic, and LeBron didn't dodge it. At this point, it's the last thing you want to see. Short, direct, no spin. That wasn't a superstar protecting the locker room. That was a veteran who understands exactly what's at stake. Because this wasn't just a bad loss. This was a collision between momentum and reality. The Lakers came into this game rolling, 16-3 since late February, one of the hottest teams in the league, offense clicking, roles defined, Luka playing at an MVP level, 33.8 a night, controlling everything. It felt sustainable, until it didn't. Midway through the third quarter, Luka pulled himself out, left hamstring, a same issue that had already bothered him earlier in the season. And just like that, everything shifted. Not just the game, the timeline. Because we're not in January anymore. We're not even in March. We're 2 weeks from the playoffs. That's the turning point. Hamstring injuries don't care about timing. They linger, they tighten, they come back when you push too hard. And Luka had already pushed through it once, dropping 41 against Brooklyn just days earlier after showing up on the injury report. This time, he didn't fight through it. He walked off. And LeBron saw it, which is why his reaction matters, because he knows what comes next. If Luka misses time, everything falls back on him at 41 in year 23. And here's the tension. LeBron hasn't been playing like a primary scorer. Not recently. He's averaging a career-low 20.7 points per game. In 3 of his last 4, he didn't even crack 15. That's by design. That's the new system. Luka initiates, Reeves supports, LeBron picks his spots, efficient, controlled, sustainable. But now, that version might not be enough. Because you can't replace Luka Doncic with a system. You replace him with volume, creation, pressure, and that means LeBron has to shift again. Not back to his prime, but closer to it. More touches, more responsibility, more risk. Austin Reeves will help. He's proven that. But this isn't a plug-and-play situation. This is a structural hit. The entire offense changes without Luka, and the standings don't wait. The Lakers are barely holding on to the 3 seed. Denver is right there. One slip, one bad stretch, and suddenly you're in the play-in conversation. That's how fast it moves in the West. So now everything comes down to one moment, the MRI. Because if it's minor, the Lakers breathe, reset, push forward. But if it's not, then this team that just found its rhythm has to reinvent itself again, with no time, and LeBron already knows it. That's why there was no panic in his voice. No dramatics, just clarity. Because he's been here before. And he understands something most people don't. In the NBA, injuries don't just change games. They change expectations. And right now, the Lakers are waiting to find out how much theirs just dropped.